I just got three things to say. God bless our troops, God bless America, and gentlemen, start your engine!
Welcome to the Stire Sound podcast with your hosts, Trey, Stire, and Jack Noel.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stire Sound, a wild and a bit chaotic weekend at RedBud. Just when we thought that two people were set to go 1-1 perhaps the rest of the year, things change in an instant. I'm Trey Stire, the host. Thank you for listening once again. Thank you for all the love and support so far. Keep spreading the name of the Stire Sound out there. Keep running it up on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart Radio, and also our Instagram account at the Stire Sound Official. Joining me, of course, my co-host. He had a fun weekend up in RedBud. Fireworks on Friday night. Scoring points with the Dirt Bike Depot WMR KTM team on Saturday. Last night, a little bit of indoor basketball at Casa de Kessler. Welcome back to the show, Jack Noel. How was your weekend, man? It looked like a lot of fun this weekend for you guys.
Yeah, man. It was RedBud was fun. I definitely enjoyed it. I had a good time. Good people were there. Like one of our good sponsors, CC, was at the race, so it's always good to have them there. And yeah, we were able to score some points this weekend, which is definitely for the team really, really good. So it's about all you can ask for right now with how stacked the 250 class is. So we were stoked on it. RedBud definitely served some good racing, I think, and yeah, it was. Wasn't the Deegan show this weekend, so it definitely was entertaining.
First outdoor points for not only the Dirt Bike Depot WMR KTM team, but the first outdoor points for Gage Linville as well. Last summer, he was up in Canada scoring podiums. He even scored an overall victory. But his first points in the U.S. outdoors. Recap your guys' weekend a little bit. Obviously, a huge accomplishment. Even though it's a little start, 19th, 3 points on the board, it's still steps to start moving up and to keep moving in the right direction after a couple weeks of struggles. But you guys have to be proud of Gage and the way he performed on Saturday after a couple of bad luck rounds.
Yeah, 100%. Like you said it best. Definitely wasn't the first two rounds for him. Definitely weren't what we expected. I definitely think he's a top 20 caliber rider when he's on his best stuff. So definitely really, really good. Like we were stoked to score some points. Obviously bummed that Jason wasn't able to put it in the motos. But, obviously with him coming back from the collarbone and stuff like that, it's tough. And but yeah, dude, like our whole goal with this outdoor thing, and Gage obviously being in the driver's seat for SMX points, is to kind of get to that SMX playoff or get the call at least. With him scoring 3 points, if he can score, 10 to 15 more points, 10 to 15, 20 more points, I think for sure he'll get a phone call asking to come race, at least the LCQ. So yeah, man, it was good. I was definitely stoked with how everything went at RedBud. Like the racing was really good. Gage was battling hard the whole time, and then obviously kind of didn't back it up in the second moto, but it's just how it goes. I think he was just kind of emptied the tank a little bit, and then after like the halfway point in the second moto, he just didn't have much left to give and just kind of rode it in for 26th. But it was crazy though, because like with Kitchen, Tom, Smith, Thrasher, all those guys were like coming through the pack, and it's like always in 2030 he's got a good chance to score some points. Then you see a guy like Levi and Tom behind him, and you're like, oh man, like those guys are going pretty fast. Levi was on a different level in the first moto. Same with like Tom was good too, and then obviously Jordan Smith being a factory rider and all, like it makes it really, really tough. So, for him to in the first moto at least to score points. Second moto obviously wasn't great, but to finish 23rd overall, that's right about what our goal is for him, and I think himself. So definitely something to hang your hat on, and hopefully. He won't be racing Millville this weekend, unfortunately, but hopefully at Ironman he'll be back and ready to put some points on the board again.
It was pretty funny to see on the results sheet. I'm sure some of those guys that in the privateer ranks like Gage, CJ Bernard, for example, were probably thinking, oh, I'm here in 17th, 18th, 20th. I can score points. And then they probably saw those guys coming around them like Kitchen Vialle, wondering, like, wait a second, am I a lap down? Did I miss that? It was probably a really weird feeling for those guys. But shifting gears a little bit to the 450 class, we'll cover the 250s as well. But, man, I don't think anybody needed a reminder that Jett Lawrence is the best in the world. But that second moto on Saturday goes down at the start after a kind of subpar start for his standards. 10th for him off the start is a horrible start because he's usually right there in the top 3. But he went down, and then he just mowed through the pack like it was nothing. I mean, he was passing guys like Justin Barcia like they were standing still. It was unreal to watch in television. I don't know how much you got to see in person since that was after that was before the 250 moto, so you probably got to see a front row seat of Jett charging through the pack.
Yeah, I definitely didn't watch the whole moto. I watched actually some of it from the camper, and I was like, this is his second moto he did that. So yeah, I mean I went in the camper and I was like, oh, like Prado's out front, like, oh wow, like okay, like Jorge Prado, like good start finally put something together, and then you see Jett in 6th and you just see him charging and just moving through the pack like you said, like they're standing still, and it was a really, really good ride. And I think after the first moto that Chase had, I think it was really, really good for him to kind of be able to kind of tag along with Jett and see like what that pace is like, moving through the pack and whatnot. Like I don't think Chase was really losing time on him once Jett got by him.
Yeah, he was right there.
And Chase was just kind of chugging along, and obviously he was up to 2nd, I believe. Maybe it was 3rd. I don't remember, but it was good. Like it was cool to see Chase kind of show that fiery that he has the ability to kind of run with Jett. And yeah, I think that's if Jett's gonna lose, it's gonna have to be him getting a bad start and Chase or Tomac kind of out front, able to dictate the race and kind of drop the hammer from the beginning. And I don't know if that's gonna happen. I hope it does, but at the end of the day, it's like you really can't knock how good Jett Lawrence is right now.
No, he's operating on an insanely good level. And I think the other big headline from the 450 class, honestly, a lot of mechanical failures and issues throughout the class, regardless of factory or privateer or somewhere in the middle. Everyone was experiencing issues. Eli Tomac's bike failed on him in the first moto. Cooper Webb and Joey Savacci, a few turns before the finish, racing each other for position. Both of their bikes failed. Antonio Cairoli over here with the Ducati. We'll talk about that a little bit more during the news. But they had a bike failure, I think electrical or something. Cody Schock, Henry Miller had bike issues. It seemed like a lot of equipment malfunction at RedBud, and it really shook up the class. 28 riders in the 450 class scored points, which is the second most all-time, just off the record of 29. It was a lot of attrition at RedBud on Saturday, and a lot of kind of roller coaster days for some of those guys who experienced mechanical issues.
Yeah, it's definitely weird, like especially when you come from like a factory team, like a guy like Tomac and a guy like Webb, like they're both on the same bike, so maybe I don't even know what happened. Maybe it's an overheating thing because you could see the smoke coming through the bottom there. So I don't know. It's weird. I mean, I know like the track was like super, super deep. So, I mean, I just know that him and Webb both, they ride the clutch a lot. And those Yamahas, you know how they are. They are kind of hitter, like they're really, really fast bikes, but they are known to kind of have issues sometimes. But you would think at the factory level, they'd have those things kind of their I's dotted and their T's crossed. So it's definitely different to see that, especially two guys on the same team have what seemed to be the same issue. But yeah, no, it was weird, but that's motocross, man. I mean, that's just the day can turn on its head in a switch of an instant, so it's tough, but everybody has to go through that at some point, and I think it's kind of hard to say anybody's in the title race now. I think at this point it's just, can you get some moto wins and beat Jett? That's kind of the goal for anybody at this point. So yeah, it's interesting, but I think it's just name of the game, and I think there's a lot of guys in the 450 class that had really good races, like Henry Miller, for example. I think he got like 13th in Moto 1, like off the couch on a new bike. Like, wow, that's
Moto 2, yeah. First moto, he
ahead.
actually had an engine failure, and the MX6 guys, his brand new team, they swapped the engine in after the first moto, and he comes out, like you said, he's been a Honda guy for a long time. And before that, KTM, it's been I think since 2017-18 area, since he's been on a Yamaha and he comes out 13th. He put in a really good ride, like you said.
Yeah, so I was impressed with that, but engine failures and bike problems in outdoors are bound to happen at some point if you're, depending on what happens. But yeah, it is interesting. But I think the story really is who's going to beat Jett and where and when, and who's going to be able to capitalize on a Jett starting at 18th and he's still able to win. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, definitely bad news for everybody in the 450 class. Another guy who impressed me real quick, I'll shout out, RJ Hampshire. Before the year, I would have probably had him as a 5th, 6th place guy maybe. I don't think that would have been unreasonable because you have the Lawrence brothers, Tomac, Sexton, Plessinger, Justin Cooper, all of these guys with a bunch of experience, Prado. But for RJ to come out first moto, I know he's had a lot of success at RedBud, but 3rd place, very impressive from him. Shifting gears a little bit to the 250 class. We mentioned last week we were trying to brainstorm who in the world is going to be able to stop Hayden Deegan, and we said, well, the most confident and the fastest guy in the class, probably other than Deegan, is Joe Shimoda. And look what happens. Joe Shimoda is now a 2-time RedBud national winner. He started up front. He was in the lead very briefly at the start of the first moto. Then Tom Vialle got around him. But later in the moto, Shimoda just put on a charge and ended up passing Vialle for the win. And then second moto, he gets out front again, runs second or third for a little bit, and then passes Jalik Swoll. Won one day for Shimoda with the Honda executives in attendance as well. They swept all the motos. First manufacturer to sweep the motos at RedBud since 2008, they mentioned on the broadcast, which was Ryan Villapoto and James Stewart for Kawasaki. Fantastic day for Joe. And it was pretty cool to see, especially for us. We were just talking about, imagine what happens if Joe Shimoda gets a start. And Joe Shimoda got a start, and he went 1-1.
Yeah, I think Joe is the only guy right now that has what it takes to potentially beat Deegan straight up. Like, I think if Deegan and him are 1-2, I think Joe could do it, depending on the day. But no, it was super cool to see. Like, and I even look back to like Supercross with him. Like, if he didn't break his finger, I mean, he went out there and dominated A1. Like, he had a great race. And if he doesn't break his finger at San Diego, like, what does that season look like for him? Like, is he able to keep Deegan away from a title? Like, I'm very interested to know, how severe that injury was, because obviously he ran the handguard till basically the end of the year, or whatnot. And it's tough. Like, the fingers are super weird and super useful in Supercross. It's just always like a lingering thing that can affect you more than you would think. So, yeah, I mean, I think Joe definitely has the ability to beat Deegan straight up. Like, if Deegan starts 1 and he's in second, I think he has fully the ability to pass him straight up and beat him in a moto. And obviously Deegan rode really, really well in the second moto. In the first moto, I know we had some issues. Like, I think his bike was overheating or something like that. Kind of similar to what happened maybe at Thunder Valley. And he was just kind of saving the bike to get it to the finish line. Like, I was watching him get passed by Lux Turner, like, and he was just letting him by. It's like, okay, that's weird. That's very unlike Deegan. So definitely something's going on. Maybe he's a little banged up from the crash too and practice and stuff like that. So not 100%, but I do think when Joe's on his best and Deegan's on his best, I think it'll be a really, really, really good race.
Between those two crashes in the moto, of course, you mentioned his qualifying crash and the bike smoking. It was not a fun first moto for Hayden Deegan. Second place to end the day, not bad. A little bit of damage limitation, but he had a massive points lead. So in the grand scheme of things, 14-2, not as bad as it could have been. There was some chaos in the 250 class as well. Not just Deegan not getting the job done, not running up front all day, but you had guys like Levi Kitchen who ran up front for most of the first moto, charged all the way up to P2 or P3, I think. And then he goes down. He goes way wide on start straight early on in the race. Moto 2 goes down. Tom Vialle went down. Jordan Smith decided to do a Jorge Prado 2017 impression and jump halfway across the track. And thankfully it wasn't a crowd like Prado almost jumped into back at Valkenswaard his rookie year. But that was one of the most insane crashes I think I've seen in a long time. It was a chaotic day in the 250 class as well, and you had guys once again, Vialle and Kitchen are on that short list of people we think could challenge Hayden Deegan, and they had their own problems as well.
Yeah, there's definitely the 250 class is definitely interesting. Like, I don't think Hayden is as dominant. I mean, he's definitely dominant. Like, he's definitely the best dude in the class. But I think there's some more cracks in the paint than we think. Like, I saw him after Moto 1 again in the Alpine Stars medical unit. I'm not sure what was the issue, but I did see him walking in there. So, maybe the door's open a little bit. Maybe there's, the cracks are starting to show to the other riders, and that this guy is beatable and he's not, invincible like it may seem sometimes. So yeah, it is interesting, and I'm interested to see how Millville goes and the rest of the season. To be honest with you,
Millville, always a track that is pretty high up on the list of favorites for fans, for riders, for team members. A lot of people love that track. It's going to be interesting to see this weekend if they can continue to bring the fight to Hayden Deegan, whether that's Shimoda or Vialle or somebody else rising up through the pack. Rider D showed some signs of life at RedBud, qualified fastest overall, and I don't think anybody would have had that on their bingo card necessarily, but he put together a really good second moto. He had a bad start first moto, but second moto he was looking solid. Dylan Schwartz qualified top 5 on a Bar X Yamaha. He has been fast the last several years and put together several great moto results. But overall, there was a lot of people scoring points that have either had bad luck this year or finally got a chance to break through. A lot of chaos in the results in terms of up and down days. It's hard to find some guys who just went and put in consistent rides. And real quick, before we shift our topics once again, I want to say a shout out and congratulations to Jalek Swole, man. 3 races after returning from a torn Achilles, and he gets an overall podium. I mentioned in the Pulp X Discord when he was running 6 first mode, I'm like, if Jalek is already running 6, he's definitely going to be on a podium by the end of the year. I didn't know the end of the year was going to be a couple hours later, but Jalek Swole, an impressive ride for him. He led a couple laps, second overall. That's a great sign for not only the Triumph team, but for a guy coming off an Achilles injury that was said to have been, take it with a grain of salt, but quote-unquote flying at the test track before the season. A great result for him and the Triumph crew.
yeah, no, it was cool to see Jalek get on the podium. I think he's definitely has the ability, and he's shown it on outdoors before. Obviously, he's won races and stuff like that when he's on Husky and whatnot. But yeah, and like Gage had told me, before Jalek came back, like, dude, Jalek's going fast. Like, Jalek will be in the top 5, like top 10 at the minimum, come high point. And I was like, okay, like, we'll see. Like, and sure enough, like, there he was. He's beating the other Triumph guys, no problem. And, to come out at RedBud and put in a second moto like he did and a solid first moto and then get an overall podium, that was huge. That was sick to see.
I haven't talked to Jalek much, but just seeing through the TV, he seems like he has a fiery personality, almost like a Cooper Webb in a sense where if you give them a little bit of confidence and a little bit of momentum, watch out. So great to see. And also Michael Mosiman, his first overall podium since 2022, I believe. He was stoked. He was rocking a mustache this weekend, but he put in another good ride after a really good weekend at Southwick. Congrats to Mosiman as well. We will be shifting gears now. We have another interview segment lined up this week. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the segment we had with Hamden Hudson last week, talking about his rookie 250MX season and his run-in, let's say, with Patrick Murphy. We have another member of the 250MX division coming right up for you guys. Stay tuned. We hope you enjoy this week's interview. Thanks for listening so far, and we'll be back in a minute. We are back, ladies and gentlemen, episode 3 of the Stire Sound. Thank you once again for tuning in. Our interview segment coming right up. Joining us this evening, competing in the 250 motocross class. He is a man who has recently joined his brand new team. The last couple seasons he has broken out a little bit, put in a lot of strong top 15 level results in the 250 West Supercross Series for the Gizmo Mods Rock River Power Sports Yamaha team. About 2-3 weeks ago, he got the call from Phoenix Racing Honda after some of their team members went out with injury. Gavin Towers went down with a torn ACL, and they gave this man a call to fill in for the team. Joining us on the line from Mount Marion, New York, the number 91 Phoenix Racing Honda's newest addition, TJ Albright. Welcome to the Stire Sound, TJ. Thank you for joining us. And man, RedBud, always a favorite of many riders to see the crowd, the atmosphere, the red, white, and blue waving. What was the atmosphere and the crowd like for the people who weren't able to attend this weekend?
Yeah, first off, thank you guys for having me on. It's a pleasure. And yeah, RedBud is, it's definitely special, right? I mean, it's Independence Day, it's America, it's 4th of July, it's fireworks, it's RedBud, it's outdoor motocross, it's, the most hardcore fans. It's wild. It's definitely kind of, I feel, for everyone, the track is good and everything like that. There's good dirt and the layout's cool. There's some big jumps and stuff like that. But I feel like more so what kind of gets you going and everyone loves the RedBud stop on the circuit is just because the atmosphere, right? I mean, it's nothing. There's literally nothing like it when you are on the parade lap, sight lap before each moto, and you kind of just take a gander and you literally just see people. You don't see any, you don't even see grass. You literally just see people because it's jam packed and they're all loving it. And literally, it's the most hardcore fans for outdoor motocross that I think of all the stops.
Yeah, so obviously RedBud brings the energy, and it obviously is something that kind of different than all the other stops, like you kind of said. So just kind of go through your day at RedBud, like top to bottom. Qualifying obviously wasn't the greatest for you. Just kind of give us a rundown and talk us through it.
Yeah, it definitely was a tough day at work, right? Jumping into this outdoor thing with minimal prep, a few days on the jump right into Southwick. That was, not ideal neither. Just and then I almost feel when you go Southwick and RedBud, I think it's two of the most challenging tracks on the circuit. RedBud, just the prep and the dirt, it's gnarly, right? Like it is true, outdoor motocross. But for me, yeah, I struggled a little bit in practice just with, a little bit of like intensity stuff. Just jumping in, like it's that, that, I don't know, it's that willingness to crash, right? To lay down a fast lap in practice. Like that's almost what it seems like, is you got to be right on that edge. Unfortunately, I had to go to the LCQ, which is never fun. And in my position, I truly believe that it's unacceptable, right? Like I'm better than that. I truly believe I'm a top 20 guy, indoors and out, right? That's the reason why I believe I got the phone call, is I think they believe in me to go out there and get the results. And at the end of the day, I believe in myself. So to start the day off rough like that, like it's never fun. Got a good start in the LCQ, did what I had to do there, right? The goal for that isn't to go and win by 20 seconds. The goal for that is to get into the moto. Same thing with Supercross LCQ, right? I mean, you never want to find yourself in any LCQ, and then when you do got to go to them, something's going to go wrong. It's going to go wrong in an LCQ, so you just kind of have to put your laps in. I've been down these roads a few times. I have a lot of experience in those situations, so I wasn't really too honest. I mean, I was stressed going to the gate, right? I mean, it's an LCQ and anything can happen, but for the most part, I just relied on my experience, and I've done it multiple times before. Just knew kind of what I had to do to get the job done. And then, yeah, going into the motos, unfortunately, Moto 1, there's a little bit of issue, and then Moto 2, I got a good start. I think I was like 18th. And I got absolutely cleaned out, but it wasn't like on purpose. It's just somebody made a mistake and went into my front wheel. And then by the time I got up, I was like 25 seconds behind 39th. Like it was, so I didn't see anyone for like 6 or 7 laps. Like I was just riding by myself. And then, halfway point, I started getting to some guys, but it's just so hard when you have something like that happen at the beginning of the race at these outdoors, because the pace, the first 5 laps, everyone's just sprinting in that pack, and it's almost like everyone's kind of just drafting off of each other, right? And then 25 seconds later, you got me back there by myself, just trying to catch as many people as I can. So result-wise on paper, it's obviously nothing to write home about and stuff like that, but I did get another round under my belt, and there is positives to take away, get some stuff figured out, and yeah, I mean that's a day at RedBud, and now it's 2 more back to back, and then a 2 weeks off to be able to really put some work in, because it's tough right now, right? Like racing every weekend to truly be able to go out to the practice track and put yourself in a hole, because at the end of the day, in the back of your mind, you're like, I need to be fresh for Saturday. So today was a good day riding, little gains each day, and that's all we can really ask for. And then hit the brake pretty hard with some motos and testing, and come out the last 3 and ready to go.
Do you feel like you're kind of already in that like mode of, it's kind of weird because you jumped in like so like quickly, you didn't really have like a preseason at all to like motocross, or were you riding at all before you got on the bike for Southwick? Because I know it was pretty last minute, right?
Yeah, it was super last minute. I mean, I got a phone call and they said, how quick can you get to Charlotte? And I looked at the GPS and it said it said it was 7 hours away, and I said I'll be there in 7 hours and 15 minutes. Let me pack a bag. Yeah, it was super late. I rode the bike 3 days before Southwick, and before that, like after originally, all through Supercross, my plan was to do all 11 outdoors, and then some stuff didn't really come about, or there wasn't ways to make it work. So then after I got that news that it wasn't going to work where I was at previously, I just stopped riding, right? Like I had to give bikes back and stuff like that. And I didn't ride for like 3 weeks after Salt Lake. And then going into Salt Lake, I had knee surgery, so it was really like 5 weeks kind of off the bike. I raced Denver and I raced Salt Lake after the knee surgery, but yeah, it was kind of like five or 6 weeks, without much riding. And then for some reason, I just got this weird feeling. I was like, I'm going to start riding. So I rode like 2 weeks, and probably 5 days. I rode 5 days on my own. I had my own personal Yamaha 450. And I was like, I'm going to start riding for, you just stay ready. You never know. And then, yeah, I was riding a little bit, and then I got the call, and I was like, well, good thing I, have at least 5 days on the bike, So yeah, it definitely was super short. There wasn't much of a outdoor kind of preseason or outdoor little boot camp sort of deal. Definitely kind of just got thrown into it, right? But in the position of myself, you can never say no to these opportunities. I have some close friends that work at Phoenix and stuff like that, and I've been wanting to be a part of this program for a really long time. And when I did get the call, it even still, like right now, it gives me a little bit of goosebumps, right? But at the end of the day, you can never say no to this, and I have to go out there and get the best results that I possibly can for myself and for the team, to hopefully it turns into a little bit more than just a fill-in ride. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm working towards, and what I'm trying to make happen.
Yeah, for sure.
You've been building and progressing, TJ, for the last several years. You started to really become a main event guy around 2020, 2021. Then a couple years or so, we didn't see a bunch from you, but last year's Supercross season, you really started to become a steady presence in the main event and start pushing toward the top 15. And now to get a call from the Phoenix Racing Honda team, you just said it gives you goosebumps. How much confidence have you been able to build up and to really feel like, hey, I'm a main event guy, and then to start progressing forward to get little goals and to get up to like the 15th place range and to start pressing more toward the top 10, and then getting a fill-in call from an organization of this caliber, a team that scored points in Supercross, a team that has a former 450 champion on the roster, usually, of course, Dylan Ferrandis out with injury right now, but how much has confidence played into your growth over the last couple of seasons?
Yeah, I mean, in everyone that's involved in this sport, confidence is everything, right? It takes a while to build it, and it goes away really quick. That's the tough part, is managing that. Yeah, when I went pro doing the Supercross thing, like my first pro year, I think I made 3 mains or something like that, which I was happy with. I knew it wasn't going to be easy and stuff like that. And then I went through like 3 or 4 years where it was just injury after injury after injury. And you'd get back to kind of where you were, and then it would be an injury. And then 2023 going into 2024 was like the first year where I was able to do a decent amount of races in 2023, and then had a solid off season going into 2024, and that just builds your confidence. And then, you know, I won the LCQ at A1 in 24, and that right there kind of, I was like, okay, like I can, you know, I'm a guy, you know, I didn't luck into this main, I didn't get fourth at the LCQ or something like that. I came from the back, and I won the LCQ, and, you know, I made it happen. And then ever since then, it was, you know, honestly, ever since that race right there, I went to any gate in Supercross, heat race, or whatever, and I knew that I was going to be in the main event. Going to the weekends, it wasn't like, oh, hopefully we get to the main event this weekend. It was, you know, going to the weekends to, all right, let's get a result, or put a number on where we want to finish. You know, you always start out, you know, let me be 16 to 18 this weekend, and then, you know, 15 to 12, you know, something like that, just steady improvements. But yeah, the confidence, it takes a while to build, and even getting a phone call like this, it definitely boosts your confidence, you know, especially I believe in this program and the people that are here and everyone that Phoenix Honda organization works with. I believe in it, and I believed in it for a while as being an outsider looking through the skirts on the easy up and the awning and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely a big confidence booster being here and in the shop. And when, you know, I put my gear on in the semi, you know, even just walking under the semi and seeing my bike under the semi, like it's really hard for me to like be at the races on a Saturday or a Friday and not just be smiling and super happy. Because at the end of the day, I mean, I very well could have went my whole career without even getting an opportunity like this, you know. So definitely don't want to take it for granted. I want to enjoy it, and I want to, you know, try to make the most of it.
One last two-part question for you. First part of it, obviously, you've mentioned you don't really get a ton of time to work on the bike training, but there is a couple weeks off here in the future after Millville and Washougal. You get a couple weeks to possibly dial things in. So what are your goals for the next couple races, since you don't really have time to work on the bike too much? And then the second part of the question, I've been keeping track of the points throughout the year for the national numbers. I don't have projections like the We Went Fast guys do, but I have been keeping track, and if they handed out numbers right now, I think you're pretty safe for the rest of the year. And as of right now, you would be national number 79. Of course, you got your first national number last year. So what are you looking for to keep working on the next couple weeks, and how stoked are you to potentially get another two-digit number for 2026?
Yeah, the next couple of weeks, right? I mean, I don't have the greatest, you know, prep and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, like I said earlier, I truly believe I'm a top 20 guy. I wouldn't have taken this opportunity if I didn't think I could be scoring points. And, you know, ultimately the goal is to get points in these motos and, you know, get into SMX and go SMX racing with Phoenix Honda. So the next couple of races, I want to be in the top 20. I truly believe, no matter what my prep situation is, and every lack of time on the bike and stuff like that. But I believe this bike is capable of helping me, or I believe the bike is capable of picking up the slack on my end. Right now, it's not slack ever since I got this phone call. Ever since I got the phone call, it's been all in. It's just the slack of, you know, I didn't have anything, right? I wasn't riding and stuff like that. It wasn't really on my end. But yeah, next two, I really want to be in the top 20. I believe that's possible. And then, you know, get some stuff figured out on the break and then come back. And I don't see why we can't, you know, bump it up to being, you know, 15th to 17th place guy. The team believes I can be there. I believe I can be there. And I truly don't believe, or don't see any way why I, you know, can't get there. Kind of right around where I was in Supercross, you know, a 12 to 15 guy. I know outdoors is gnarly and it's stacked, and there's 19 to 20 factory guys. Like the 250 class is insane. But yeah, I truly believe that I could be up there, and yeah, I'm looking forward to getting those results for myself and for the team. And yeah, national numbers. I mean, I was at it for a long time, right, before I got one, and a lot of it was, you know, I remember like the COVID year in Supercross, I was like 3 or 4 rounds in, I was like 13th in points, and I blew my knee out. And like that year, I really thought I was going to get one just by the trajectory of, how the races were going and everything like that. But it didn't happen. I got hurt, and yeah, I got one this year. But yeah, it'd be cool to have a lower one, right? I wish. I mean, it'd also be cool if they let us just run a 3-digit if we wanted to, right? Like 116.
I wish they would let you guys do that. It'd be so much sicker.
Yeah, 116 to me is like, it's me, right? Like everything, I grew up with that number and, stuff like that. So earning the 2-digit is super cool. And, not everyone can say that they've gotten a 2-digit, right? Like when we're all in it pretty deep and it's, kind of expected, but at the end of the day, it is a big accomplishment because there's plenty of people that have pretty good careers and good privateers and put in some good results, and they don't ever get one. So it is cool to have one, and it would be cool, the lower you can go, obviously the better. But yeah, it's if I can get some more points this off season or the rest of this outdoor series, and who knows, maybe we can jump down 10 positions.
Sure. Well, thanks, TJ, for joining us on the Stire Sound. I really appreciate you giving us a little bit of insight on your program. Obviously, the last couple of weeks have been hectic for you, jumping back in the outdoors and whatnot on a new team. So I appreciate your time, my man.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys for having me.
Yes, sir.
TJ Albright on episode 3 of the Stire Sound. Thank you, TJ, once again for the time, and best of luck the rest of the outdoor motocross season.
I appreciate it.
That was TJ Albright from the Phoenix Racing Honda team. He just joined the squad as a fill-in rider and took a little bit of time to spend with us on the Stire Sound episode 3. Make sure to follow TJ on social media and to pay attention the rest of the summer. If you go to the races, swing by the Phoenix Racing Honda truck and tell him congratulations on his fill-in deal. He sounds very happy and very stoked to be a part of that organization. We will now switch over into the news. And Jack, this first topic, it broke kind of in poor timing last week. I had just got done editing episode 2, getting it ready to put up on Spotify and all over for the next day. And then I see this notification that Lewis Phillips was tweeting about a guy you know pretty well's future. There are rumors going around, and it's hard to tell because he's playing into it a little bit. But Lewis Phillips of Vital MX, of course, covered MXGP for a long time, tweeted that Tom Vialle could potentially be headed back to Europe next year to race for Team Honda HRC. More rumors coming out. I heard, not firsthand, but from a buddy who listened to Pulp MX. He said on the show they were mentioning Tim Gajser possibly leaving Honda for Ducati next year, which is a huge deal considering Gajser has 5 world championships. All of them have been with the same organization, Team Honda HRC, and before that when it was known as Garibaldi Honda. But a lot of rumors, and then Tom was kind of playing into the leaks of stuff and saying like, yeah, I can't wait to be back at Southwick and back on my 450 or whatever. There have been rumors that he could be moving up here, staying with the Red Bull KTM organization. Obviously, who knows what's going to happen for sure, but what are your opinions?
Say, I know Tom a little bit. Me and him are, are friends in a sense. And when I saw it, I kind of always knew he always had options to go overseas. I think this was just one of those ones where Honda from the MXGP, I think, are kind of trying to push that news over here and let it kind of become something more and to maybe persuade him or whatever it is. I definitely think that there's the offer is on the table from what I know, from what I've heard at least. And but I don't think anything's signed or anything of that nature at all. I think Tom, I don't think he has a deal on the table, I think, from Red Bull KTM here, obviously. I think it's in his contract. I believe they're still under negotiations, and the whole Honda thing, I talked to Lewis. I was like, Lewis, man, are you, why are they making it seem like it's like a done deal? Like it's just an offer. He's like, oh yeah, it kind of got twisted, whatever. So anyway, but I think I don't think that's going to happen personally. I think for Tom, he's going to stay here. I think he's just trying to, potentially better his deal over here. or find something over here. I think we'll see him with Red Bull KTM come next season. I don't think that'll be a question. I'm almost 99% sure we'll see him on the Red Bull KTM next year. So I would kind of debunk that a little bit. I think there's definitely the option for him to go over there. But I think for Tom, if I was Tom, I would say, look, I think my option to go back to Europe will always be there. I'll never not have that opportunity over there. I think I'll always have some sort of ride to go back overseas, And for here, if it doesn't work out in the 50 class, for him, he can go back. But right now, it's like he moved over here, won 2 titles. It's like his life is here. It's not like he's, he came over for a year, hasn't settled in yet. Like he's, owns a house here, stuff like that. And things that it's a big life change to go back, I don't think it'll be huge. It could happen, no doubt. But for him, I think his goal is to be over here. And I think when the Barcias and the Andersons and the Webbs and the Tomacs and the Malcolm Stewarts kind of get out of the class opens up more, and then I think he'll be kind of a blockbuster name on the charts when it comes to a 450 seat. So I have a feeling that he will not be going to Europe. I think he'll be staying here in America. But I think that option to go back to Europe for him is definitely always going to be on the table. Like if it doesn't work out here, for example, like if he goes and stinks the bed up, he'll have the ability to go back to Europe and race a 450 over there. As for Gajser, I have heard that he is leaving Honda. Whether it's on a Ducati or a Yamaha, I'm unsure. I have heard that though, and the rumors are pretty strong in my opinion that he will not be on a red bike next year. But the red bike too, it's honestly probably the best 450 in America and over there. Like you look at Gajser at MX Nations last year, straight up beating Jett. It's like, wow, man, that's pretty darn impressive. After Jett went and won SMX, it's like that's pretty darn good. So yeah, I'm interested to see if he does end up moving. I mean, I'm sure he's getting paid a lot of money to move or to lure him away from Honda. But, sometimes like Tomac, when he changed teams, it kind of revamped his career a little bit. And maybe that's what Gajser's looking for.
It's definitely interesting on both sides for Vialle's perspective and both sides for Gajser as well. When you talk about Tom, as you mentioned, it's not like he was over here for a 1-year deal, kind of a prove it thing. He's settled in. This is his 3rd year here in America. He's living here now. He's adjusted fully to the American culture, and it was on the table, and that's been reported that there was a possibility he could be the second most likely, the 3rd Red Bull KTM guy, with Aaron Plessinger, of course, returning, and most people believe Eli Tomac is going to that organization. But then you look from the Honda side of things over in MXGP, losing Gajser is a huge blow. It doesn't matter who replaces him, but you don't find 5-time world champions every day. And Gajser consistently for the last decade has been one of the fastest riders in the world. And as you mentioned, he straight up beat Jett Lawrence at Matterley Basin last year in Motocross of Nations. There's no denying or questioning the talent and speed and skill level of a guy like Tim Gajser. And reaching out to Vialle, a guy who's looked at probably very highly over there after he won 2 championships in the MX2 division, they're probably thinking, we might swing and miss here, but at least we're taking a shot at it. And then on Gajser's side of things, it's going to be weird because he's been a Honda guy ever since I started watching the MXGP series. Seeing him on a different collar is just going to be weird. Now, Ducati's a different shade of red, so that'll probably be a little easier to get adjusted to, but
I will say the Ducati over here looked really, really good. Like watching Caroli impress today, his bike and his suspension was really good. So and it was fast too. I think it was a stock bike, but it was fast. So I don't think that Ducati could definitely win over there, win over here even. So just throwing that out there.
Sealer's got a couple overall podiums, I believe, this year. I know he got an overall podium at home in Frauenfeld, Switzerland. So seeing Gajser on a Ducati, he could really take that brand to the next level. And as we mentioned last week when we were talking about Cairoli coming to the U.S., that is a brand who has done nothing but win and be dominant before in series like MotoGP. So I'm sure if a free agent like Gajser at the caliber of his level is on the market, they're probably going to want to take a swing at it. And you look at Yamaha, since the Willville organization left for Fantic and then things moved it up and restructured, it's been a real struggle this year for Yamaha's 450 MXGP team. Maxime Renault's been on the ground a lot. Jago Geertz has been hurt. Calvin Vlanderen's been in his normal range, but Yamaha has really not been able to fight with Fevre, Kooning, Gajser, Hurlings, or even you look at Koldenhoff and the former organization that ran the Yamaha organization, now running Fantic. Koldenhoff won a moto at Matterley Basin. He's got a lot of overall podiums. I think he's third in the championship this year. So Yamaha probably trying to take a gamble as well. It's been a while since they've been up there at the forefront. They haven't won a Premier Class title in MXGP since Romain Fevre was there in 2015. So they are probably trying to look on getting back on the board, back in the fight for a championship, and maybe win the Gajser sweepstakes. We briefly touched on Antonio Cairoli coming over here to the U.S. Cairoli, he had a really good first moto, top 10, fighting with the guys like Anderson, Malcolm Stewart, guys we thought he would be fighting with. Second moto, pulls a top 5 start. People might be thinking, oh, here we go. We get to see a glimpse of what Cairoli and this Ducati team can really be made of. Unfortunately, a little bit of an electrical issue, but you said that bikes looked good, and he looked really comfortable and flowing on press day. I mean, on TV and just on paper, results-wise, he seemed like he was having a lot of fun and confident on the bike, and things are trending up, I think, for the Ducati stock.
100%. I think that bike, after how it looked at RedBud Motocross, I think they've kind of got their T's crossed and their I's dotted. I think they kind of have their stuff figured out. I think it'll be a competitive bike, next year with whoever's on it in America, and they're obviously competitive over in the GPs. And I think for sure it'll be a really good bike. And I think that it's an interesting seat. I think it's a little bit different than going to like a beta, for a high level guy. I think they have a little bit more money behind them and stuff like that. So it definitely is a little bit more attractive to a rider over here when it comes to wanting to sign for them. So yeah, but I definitely think Cairoli was, getting the top 10 in a 450 class. That's what he got 9th, right?
Yeah.
Like that's really, really impressive for a guy like Cairoli, who's obviously, way past his prime, and to still be that good and to do it on that bike, a brand new bike with little to no, obviously they've done a lot of testing, but to no experience on to do that your first national, that's really, really impressive. So there's a lot going for that brand and that manufacturer. So yeah, I think the Ducati will be super competitive, and I'm excited to see how Cairoli does this next weekend.
He will be back in Millville this weekend for his second race in America this year. SMX Next was back in action, the future stars of our sport. They had a race at Hangtown earlier this summer. They had another race, but it sounded like a breakthrough performance for Rockstar Energy Husqvarna's Landon Gibson. He goes out and wins the first moto and was 2 or 3 laps away from a 1-1 finish, and unfortunately, some kind of bike issue forced him to pull off the track and ended his day early, which contributed to the 4-1, 7-2, and 9-3 scores to get on the podium. Landon Gordon, Monster Energy Team Green Kawasaki, on the top step going 4-1. He was fast at RedBud last year in the Combine Moto. I think led a part of it maybe before going down late. Of course, they only had one moto at RedBud last year for the Combine due to weather. Second place from Orange Brigade KTM, Luke Fauser. Great showing for Luke. And in third, a guy who's really caught my eye throughout this year and getting to talk to him and get to know him a little better at Pittsburgh, Jessen Turner from the Muck-Off FXR Club MX Yamaha team went 9-3. A guy who just has this quiet sort of sense of confidence about him, and he seemed, from watching him at Pittsburgh, he looked very smooth and composed. Some other names, Owen Covell, this was his first SMX Next race, and he gets 4th overall. He's a part of that Altus Motorsports Blue Crew Yamaha that Lachlan Turner, the WMX champion, is competing for, among others. Of course, Gibson, man, he was so close to going 1-1. Cade Johnson almost went 3-3. You might remember that name from the Foxborough SMX Next race. He's another Yamaha rider rising up through the ranks. He was set to go 3-3, it sounded like, and he had his own bike issue or malfunction of some sort. Jack, were you able to catch any of the SMX Next action on Friday?
Yes, I was. It was actually it was a good race. I think that whole SMX thing is really really cool. That gives me the opportunity to race on that track and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I didn't watch the first moto, but I did watch Moto 2, and Gibson was on another level, man. And I know Landon pretty well. He lives down in Claremont and lives in my neighborhood and trains out there at the Baker's factory. He is so fast, man. Like he is so fast at the practice track. He is keeping up with like Malcolm Stewart and RJ and those guys on the practice days. It just hasn't kind of shown for him really when it comes to these SMX Next rounds. But I think at RedBud it definitely showed that he really is, when it comes to outdoors, is the man right now. And I think he's got a lot of potential and a lot of upside to him when it comes to Supercross and even in obviously outdoors. Like he really did show that he was the best guy. It sucks that he had a bike malfunction. It wasn't able to show on the results on the paper that he was the best guy. But to go one and then to be 20 seconds ahead in the second moto and have a bike go down, like you can't. If you're Husky, you're like, wow, that's a good ride from our guys. So it was sick to see him out there, just absolutely blowing these guys out of the water. But yeah, I think the whole like the top three of that, even I think him and Gordon are definitely the two best guys. Like Timmerman's good, and kind of like the 3 to 7 to 8 range is kind of like a whole mix of kind of where the track is, and just kind of those guys kind of fluctuate a lot. But I think Gibson and Gordon are definitely the two guys that are going to be, when they come to the pro ranks, they're going to be able to make kind of a say and be good right off the bat. So it was cool to watch, and yeah, definitely really really good day for Landon Gibson. It was sick to see. Definitely kind of finally showed his potential, showed what he's all about.
Gibson was kind of the fifth place guy in the Supercross portion of the SMX Next stuff. I'm pretty sure he was one of the guys who was out front at one point in that crazy Birmingham race where I think Fedortsov started out in the lead, and he crashed. I think Gibson took the lead, he crashed. Ryder Malinowski was out front for a lap or two, close to the win, and he crashed, and that was an absolutely crazy night. But for Gibson to really show that speed and be like, you know what, I might be a 3 or 5 guy indoors right now, but I know I can do it outdoors, is a great sign for his future. Landon Gordon's performed well all year in these types of races. And I also agree with your point. It seems like it kind of fluctuates. Like sometimes Fauser will be a podium guy. Sometimes Clark Robbins will be up there. Timmerman will be up there sometimes. Cade Johnson, Justin Turner, you have a lot of guys who have podium potential at these races, but have been fluctuating a little bit. But regardless, it's a great opportunity for these young up-and-comers of the sport to get time, whether it's a supercross track or a motocross track, but to be riding the same exact track, the same conditions as the pros ride is a huge step for them. And one last thing before we get into our Millville predictions, Canadian motocross, we have 2 Americans leading the points in the Canadian series. I don't know if you were aware of this, but Phil Nicoletti, everybody's favorite old grump trapped in a 35-year-old man's body, is now holding the red plate through consistency. Unfortunately, Jess Pettis went down in qualifying, I guess, on Saturday for the Canadian race. They were at Gopher Dunes this weekend. Phil didn't have a great day, but 7-6, he put in a decent result, and now he is tied for the points lead. Congratulations to Tanner Ward for winning. Congrats to Tanner, and congrats Dylan Rimple, who raced a little bit over here in the SMX Next series last year for PRMX Kawasaki. Rimple is running for the Canadian Red Bull KTM team and won his first overall. Preston Kilroy, who some of you guys may remember racing for Bar X Suzuki and Club MX Yamaha a couple years ago. Kilroy is leading the 250 points over there. He's got a 13-point lead. He was battling food poisoning this weekend, but he still went 2-4, which is a really solid result considering, but I think it's kind of funny to see. You saw guys like Davey Millsaps, Mike Alessi, even Phil, when he had just left JGR, go up to Canada in the past and win, and now there are 2 more Americans leading the points right now. So keep an eye on that if you want to see and want to follow more racing. A lot of fast guys up there, and congratulations to Nicoletti and Kilroy for grabbing the red plates. Now we will switch to our Millville predictions, and we had some good takes for RedBud, and we had some takes that were really far off. I said Garrett Marchbanks was going to get a podium, and once again, Garrett Marchbanks started from about 75th place in each moto and still somehow got a top 10. I think Weege said during the broadcast that he's passed 100-something riders this year already, and we're only halfway through the season, which is insane. But let's start off with the 450 class this time. I feel like Jett Lawrence and Chase Sexton are probably going to be in your predictions, Jack. Give me your top three for Millville. Who's going to get the job done on Saturday in the 450 class?
Yeah, I think Millville's a cool track. I think Chase is pretty good there. Obviously, Jett's good there and stuff like that. I think Jett will probably win again. I mean, unless he has something, go down or if he gets a bad start and maybe Chase or Tomac's out front, maybe he loses a moto. But I don't think Jett finishes any worse in a moto than third the rest of this year, unless he has a bike malfunction or crashes really hard. But yeah, I think it's hard to bet against Jett, man. He's just dominating like crazy, and I think Sexton still isn't 100% race pace yet. But I think it'll be Jett. I think we'll see Tomac maybe second overall. Granted, he has two good motos, and then Sexton in third, I think. And I think Chase has the ability. I think he's going to have a really good moto, either Moto 2 or I think he's going to have a really good Moto 2, maybe get second or first, and then I think he's going to have not a terrible Moto 1, but I think he'll have a 4-3 Moto 1, and I think he'll get third overall, and then Tomac, if he can start up front, he'll be right there, and then Jett to win. What about you, Trey?
For me, yeah, Jett Lawrence first. I mean, it's a broken record, but when you have a guy that talented and that good, and you saw what he did at RedBud, coming through the pack, dealing with a little bit of adversity and still flying past people, how can you not pick that guy for first place? I'm going to go with Chase for P2. Chase looked very good at Millville last year, and as we mentioned earlier in the show, he kind of latched on to Jett and was following him pretty closely in that second moto, even though Jett went down. But once Chase got behind him, he was able to see some of the lines a little bit, feel that pace after missing so many rounds, and was right up there speed-wise. I'm going to go Hunter Lawrence for third overall. Hunter was giving Chase fits at Millville last year. Hunter is back, I think, officially in his form from last year. It took him a couple rounds a little bit to get going, but second overall at High Point, second overall at Southwick, second overall at RedBud. I'm sure he's absolutely sick to death of being second place. So, Hunter, you're going to be third place this week in my predictions, but he is ripping right now. If anybody's due for a breakthrough win, I'm not saying Jett Lawrence is going to lose because that looks highly unlikely, but it would be awesome to see Hunter Lawrence get a win. I'll throw things back over to you for the 250 class. You mentioned a little earlier you think there might be a chink in the armor a little bit for Hayden Deegan. Do you think Deegan gets back to the top spot this weekend? Or is somebody like Joe Shimoda going to continue his success? Or are you going to go out in left field and pick a wild card guy that we haven't seen win this year get the job done for Millville?
I am. I think I'm going to go Kitchen getting first this weekend. I think last year he had a really, really good race there. He came through the pack last year in Moto 2 and got second, or maybe I think he won the Moto. But I think he's really good at this track. I think he'll have a really good race. I think Deegan will probably end up on the podium still, and then I think Joe as well. I'm not sure where I could put them to. I think Deegan will probably get second, Joe maybe get third. But I'm hoping that Levi can kind of show what he showed last year and the speed that he had in the first one at RedBud and just kind of get a good start and really run out front and kind of pull away. I think that's what's going to happen. And I hope that he gets the overall win. I think he might have won overall last year. I don't remember.
He did. Levi was the overall winner at Millville. He had a string, apart from like Washougal, he won Millville. I think he won Unadilla. I think he might have won Budds Creek. He had several really good races in a row, apart from a strange ride at Washougal, which is his home track. You wouldn't expect him to be a little bit deeper in the field, but he ripped off a lot of moto and overall wins there for a stretch of last year.
Yeah, so I think Levi's kind of coming into form. If he can put it together, I think he has a good chance of winning. I'm gonna go Deegan second, Shimoda third. I think Shimoda just, I don't know how good he is at Millville. I don't think I think he's podium before, but yeah, I just think Levi will be the guy to beat this weekend at Millville. I think he's really, really good there, and obviously he won last year, so it'll be. I think he'll be the guy to beat. Hopefully that's the case. It's obviously hard to bet against Deegan or even Joe, but I think that'll be your podium. I'm gonna go Levi, Deegan, Shimoda.
Episode 3 of the Stire Sound, and we already have our minds collaborating and working together, because I was going to say I'm going to go out in left field and pick Levi Kitchen for the overall winner at Millville. He had a great ride there last year, as you mentioned. I think he won first moto, and then second moto was the crazy start pile-up race, and then he rode through the pack. It's a shame Casey Cochran isn't racing and got hurt a couple rounds ago, because he had a really good day at Millville last year, and I would have loved to have seen what he could do this year. But I'm honestly going to go with the same picks. I could go Deegan first place, and that would probably be the smart pick, but you got to pick somebody different for first. It would be boring to just say, Jett, Deegan every week, and we saw a little bit more weakness from Deegan, which I know he likes being doubted and all of that stuff, and he's probably going to have some kind of speech the next time he wins, like, I see you people doubting me for my injury, and we came back stronger than ever, baby. I'm going to go with Levi Kitchen first, Hayden Deegan second, and I think Joe Shimoda third. I mean, Joe, really, really fantastic ride at RedBud. He's got the speed. He's got the pace. It's going to be interesting to see if anybody else can rise up. I think Jalik Swole will once again be up towards the front. Tom Vialle, of course. Maybe we'll have somebody like Moseman trying to mix it up among the front guys, but I think for whatever reason, something tells me that Levi Kitchen is going to get the job done this weekend. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 3 of the Stire Sound, recapping RedBud, predicting Millville, and in between talking about a few news headlines and chatting with Phoenix Racing Honda's TJ Albright before his third national of the season coming up. Jack, any final thoughts before we part ways and conclude this episode?
No, I'm excited to be at these rounds. It's fun to watch, and hopefully I can catch a little bit more of the action this weekend. And yeah, hopefully our predictions for Millville are strong. I'd like to see Levi on the top step.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. For Jack Noel, I am Trey Stire. This has been episode 3 of the Stire Sound. Thank you for listening once again. Keep spreading the love. Keep telling people on social media, telling them wherever. We want to see this podcast build and grow. We're seeing pretty solid signs so far. We're going to keep putting the work in. I know Jack's loving what we're doing. I'm enjoying it as well. We want to keep moving forward, so thank you all for listening once again. And the Stire Sound, episode 3, is fading out.
And I am the cream. And now, not only the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship belt must fall, but the World Heavyweight Championship belt. Because Hulk Hogan, yeah, I am the cream, yeah. The cream of the crop. And there is no one that does it better than the Macho Man Randy Savage. On balance, off balance, doesn't matter. I'm better than you are, yeah. And I'm talking everyone in the World Wrestling Federation. And I'm even talking to President Jack Tunney, yeah.